In a world where 54% of Americans read below a 6th grade level,
Could you read this?
It's impossible. I just see his words everywhere.
one man wrote a book about the hidden truth behind clowns.
I finally finished it. Everything's gonna be okay now.
Links down below to the Amazon.
But he was about to find out
Your primary market is the USA, and it ranks 36th in global literacy rates, with over 43 million adults unable to read or write.
getting the truth to people is no day at the circus.
You know, sometimes I wonder if I'm the real clown.
Nobody reads anymore.
Have you considered recording an audiobook?
You're going to get a sore throat.
You're serious about this, aren't you?
You don't understand, I have to do this. The people have to know.
That book will ruin everything.
I will not use AI to record this.
We can't let him reach them.
This is just something I need to do. I don't even like clowns. The end.
Now they can hide that they're completely illiterate. This is amazing.
This season, playing on rectangular devices with black screens near you. The Nephilim looked like clowns. The audiobook.
Hello, everyone. Coming in, sit on down. It's Wednesday evening. It's almost midnight for me, but it is time for another live Q&A. How are we all doing, everyone? It's been a while. What has it been, like 3 weeks or so, give or take? I've been away on vacation, and I'm back. I did get back on Thursday, was it? I'm not even sure. I've lost track of time completely, but all I know is I got back, and I was just destroyed. Absolutely destroyed from the flight. It was an overnight flight for like 10 hours or something. No sleep. Tried to get back onto a sleep schedule. Kept waking up at stupid o'clock in the afternoon. Got on a completely wrong body clock. Jet lagged to hell. And then the whole family, wouldn't you know it, gets incredibly sick from something from the flight. I have no idea what. But we've all just been under it. So shows were cancelled. The Truth or Therapy session on Sunday just didn't happen. I didn't even make an announcement. I just didn't do anything. I think I released a video from my other channel instead, just so something came out. But we're here now, guys. I'm back. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling all right. A little bit bunged up, which is usual this time of year anyway, with a transition to winter. I've got my water, and I've just come off the back of another podcast with Alec. The Way Forward podcast, and Wouldn't you know it, he got me talking about the Little Season. The rascal. Yeah. So I had a conversation about the whole idea with him there a little bit. It wasn't like a presentation like I used to in the past, but, you know, we talked about, he had questions about certain aspects and I gave the answers that you would give, you know, as somebody who understands the theory. And we talked a little bit about the community as well and why I left. And then we talked about the Nephilim clowns. It was a good conversation, and that'll be coming out soon. And I'm releasing it on this channel as well for you guys to enjoy as well. So there's something to look forward to in the future. I have been busy. And, you know, while I've not been recording videos and kind of just settling back into the usual day-to-day routine and grind, when I've not been editing, I've been writing for the next book instead, making good progress. Got a chapter finished off. So I'm making my way into the next one as well, which I'm quite happy about. And I think I'm going to be doing a lot more of that in the coming months. And I think I might be doing a lot less on YouTube as I concentrate on getting that project kind of finalized and boxed off, hopefully. So what I want to do today, you know, once I've had a bit of a talk with you guys and a bit of a presentation about a few ideas, is I'll go through just something I've been researching recently for the book about South America, Peru, the Chavin culture, which is a bit older than the Inca culture, and some of their iconography, which I think is very fascinating and, of course, very clown-like indeed. So we'll be getting into that later on too. But while I'm here, let's see who's in the chat. Let's see what's going on. We've got Joyful One, Shauna, we've got Missy, we've got Minnesota Brett. Good to see you guys. Good to see everyone here. We've got Kendra Ma, we got Janny, we got Wendy in the house, as always. We've got Cage Fighter, Treble Down. It says, hey, I made it. Thanks for being here, guys. Good to see some familiar faces. It's good to be home. It's good to be back with our brothers and sisters in Christ and some friends we've met along the way as well. So thanks for being here, guys. I do appreciate it. Did you go through the body scanner / cancer machines? If so, they get you every time. Yeah, I did. You know, that's just the airport, isn't it? Unfortunately. But yeah, that's probably what got me. Who knows? It could also just be that I've been eating just terribly. It's probably that as well. Only because the food available at the hotel was just terrible. So it's like a captive market situation, you know. So I don't know. I'm okay now. I think it's just adapting to a different climate and just kind of getting back into routine. It just throws your body off whack, you know. And I think we've all kind of been feeling it in the Stobbs household. Emotions running high, you know, and moods swinging here and there, and sicknesses, and when one gets better, the other gets ill, and it's just ups and downs, and everyone looking after each other in cycles. And I think we're getting back into the swing of things now, so we're okay. We're okay. Shauna Rain, I know this sounds dumb, but why does the old world buildings not have toilets? Anyone else noticed this? Just wondering is all I can get. No answers from no one, respectfully. Well, that's an idea that was covered quite a lot in like Tartarian circles as well, and yeah, it is worth asking, why don't these old buildings really have toilets? And the toilets they do have like later Victorian additions, you know, and were kind of added way after the fact as well, and more modern times, kind of like gerrymandered in there. You know, they shouldn't really be there. They've just kind of been like forced in. And people would argue, well, it's because they used chamber pots then. They didn't really use toilets as we have them today, like plumbing. But at the same time, they did have the capacities to have amazing plumbing for fountains and stuff. So it begs the question whether that's even true at all, you know. But that's like the contrarian answer, isn't it? You know, well, they were using chamber pots and chucking it out the window, of course. The conspiratorial answer is that it's because they didn't need to go to the toilet. They just didn't defecate. They didn't even eat. Like, it was a different time, you know. But that's the other answer I've heard as well. I hope you all had a great holiday. Thank you. Yes, yeah, I did. It was good fun. It was good to get away. It was good just to not really like think that much. I can just be able to switch off. It was good. Obviously having two children, one under the age of 1 and one just turning 4 is it adds a stress factor to the whole thing, you know. And children dealing with transitions is never really a great thing from one state to another, one country to another, and one time zone to another, and the rest of it, you know. So there was a lot of adaptation that had to happen, a lot of time and patience, you know. But other than those moments, which are typical, we had some good fun in between, that's for sure. They were breatharians, that's right. Breatharians. Is that what it's called? Breatharians, I'm not sure what it's called. Yeah, they were magnificent fountains, exactly. All right, guys, well, not to bore you too much with my ramblings about what I've been up to in my spare time. I did actually come back to some interesting things on my Telegram, some suggestions of things to talk about and kind of like threads to pull on. And someone sent me an interesting video about the excluded tools theory. Have you heard about this one? I thought this would be good fun just in a live show to bring to you guys to see what your thoughts are in the chat and in the comments below if you do have any thoughts on this. But I'll get the video up on Telegram first. I think it actually just is straight up in my suggested video commentary suggestions. Yes, here it is. And I'm going to play this for you guys. Okay, and I don't think... Yeah, I'll play the video as well. We'll share the screen. Here it is. And I have to do some super zooming so this doesn't look too strange. Here's the video. So we can thank Trouble Treble for sending this one to the Telegram. And if I just hit play here, yeah, you'll probably get a bad view of it. So if I just do this, you'll probably get a decent view of this as it plays. And let's just listen to what this lady has to say. And then I'll give you my commentary afterwards as well. So here we go. The excluded tools theory.
New theory. I promise I'm not high. I've just been walking my dog without my headphones, and this is what's been happening. I'm calling it the excluded tools theory, okay? This is how it started in my brain. I thought, you know, a scientist could probably come up to me and convince me that they have really invented a time machine and that I'm allowed to try it out. And maybe other people tell me, yeah, we tried it. It's crazy. We went back to ancient Rome. We went back to ancient Egypt. It was amazing. And I'm like, yeah, I want to try this. I want to go. So I get into the time machine. I believe the machine. I believe the scientists. And I get out, and sure enough, I'm in ancient Rome, right? Or so I think. But all the tools that I could use to prove that this isn't actually ancient Rome are excluded from this simulation by its very nature, right? There's no GPS. I don't have access to a car. I can't drive to the edge of what could be a set to see that this is just a set. Maybe it's a set in the middle of the desert. I can't prove that. I don't have the tools. They have been excluded from this reality. So then think about present day, okay? I don't have the tools to get to the bottom of the ocean, to go to outer space. I just have to believe what people tell me is going on there because the tools have been excluded, or, you know, maybe they don't exist and maybe reality's real. That could be true. But what I'm realizing is there are so few things that I can prove, like with my own mind, body, and experience. And this is what's forming the very bottom of what I'm calling the trust stack. Okay, that's part of this theory. The trust stack is basically the very bottom is the things that you know to be true, the things that you can sense, your eyes, your ears, you know, you trust that you're conscious. And then right above that, things start to get real dicey, okay? Because right above that comes a lot of things that we can't actually prove. We trust other people, we trust books, we trust media, but that's getting real shaky, okay? The other day, I fully believed a video for like 30 seconds that a dog had brought a bear in with him through the doggy door and they were jumping on the bed. Okay, obviously that didn't really happen, but I'm just saying that's part of the trust stack. And now the trust stack is more crumbly than ever. It's always been crumbly. Don't come into my comments and be like, we can never trust the media. Like, yeah, I know, okay? That's my point. We agree. But then you think about even more abstract things like, I don't know, the stock market. You get on a Zoom call, you just trust that those are real people. But with AI getting so good and us realizing how easy it actually is to be fooled, it just has me thinking like we could be on that set, that ancient Rome set. Because how are we going to get to the edge to ever figure out that it's not real? We really couldn't do it. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying? This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is just like a thought that I had that if you could fake any reality very easily by just excluding the tools that would be needed to prove that that reality is fake. Does that make sense? Like, what is something that you believe is real, but you can't prove it's real? Or what's something that you believe is fake that you can't prove is fake? Let me know in the comments, okay?
Yeah, okay, so a bit of rambling going on there, but you get the point, you know. And this is coming from somebody who has a channel, by the way. I looked into it. She is not like a conspiracy theorist or anything of the sorts. She makes like home decor videos and reviews, and as mainstream, straight down the line, vanilla, cookie cutter, normal girl in the world content as you could ever imagine, but she just threw this random excluded tools theory wacky thing, and she had the obligatory, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but like, so obviously scared to be labeled or ostracized as one of us, which I would say just come join us. I think she can have that conversation and we're not going to care. But it was an interesting concept, and she was touching on something we've kind of already been touching on for a long time. Because we talk about the ideas like alternative cosmology and the shape of the Earth, for example. And it's kind of, we implicitly, or have at least implicitly trusted organizations like NASA, for example, that the data they give us about space is true and real and is actually happening. And then obviously, when you realize where these institutions come from, the very shady origins and the funding involved behind it, and the reasonings behind why they could have possibly lied to us and why they would lie to us, and the obvious facts that they have lied to us, and you look at the moon landing being fake situation as well, and the ISS space station video footage we get sent of the people up there, and the idea that they're actually filming underwater, all the stuff that comes out. It's kind of, we know they lie. We look at all the pictures they give us of like Earth, for example, from space, and it's like that's clearly photoshopped. We can see the clone stamping. It's like, we know you're lying to us, and it's this idea, we know we can't trust anything they tell us whatsoever, but most people will justify some of those lies and still go along with the narrative that was given to them by things like NASA, because it's easier to trust that they're telling us the truth than to question the lie. So we've been there, we get all of that, we already know. But it's the idea that we actually, from our perspective, the problem is for us, we know they're lying to us, but we don't have rockets to go to space to prove them otherwise. Do you get what I mean? And that is a point, that is a problem. Like, we as people on the lower levels don't have the ability, as obvious as they do, to prove to everybody else that they're full of shit. We don't. Those tools are limited from us, the public. And when it comes to exploring the Earth, it's like we ourselves, as an individual who wants to go out there and prove this thing, we wouldn't get through the red tape necessary to get to the edge of anything, like an ice wall, let's say, like people talk about. We would never get there. Like, something would stop us eventually, and it will probably be a military once we get far enough. Okay, but it's kind of, you wouldn't get the permission to rent the tools, the boats necessary to break through the ice, first of all, because you would have to first of all own a company that gives you license to use such tools or something. So the steps you'd have to go to get to a position, if it's not simply just money as a barrier, as a red line that would stop you, it would take a lifetime of effort. And you as an individual probably couldn't do it because it would take a team as well. So the time involved, can you see how there's these factors involved that would always limit our ability to genuinely prove the liars that rule everything wrong? So most people believe the lie and just trust implicitly that they've told us the truth about what's really going on, where we are, when we are, and how we can explore, and how far we've gone, and what has been explored, and what we know and what we don't know, and where we came from, historically speaking, and literally speaking, with evolutionary theory as well, and everything else, And it's kind of, the tools themselves, they kind of have been limited from us for a long time, but I think as the technology gets more sophisticated, I feel like the tools are getting better for us to be able to question narratives more, push boundaries more, prove people wrong more. But the problem is now, along with even though we've been given the tools, we've also been given a lot of distractions. So the majority of people still don't care and will never use the tools, and it doesn't matter anymore. It's too far gone. Too many people are complicit with the lie, and we're kind of screwed in that respect. So it really is like, we really are living in that scenario she described, where we're told we're here now, for example. Getting all a little seasoned about this, like, we are in the time just before tribulation, waiting for Jesus to return. It's been 2,000 years. We've got all this history, and we just trust that they've told us the truth on that matter. Because how can we really go back in time and test that? Can we? If I put back the dial, 2,000 years from now, and I'm in Jerusalem, okay, and I Jesus isn't there. You know, it's kind of like, you, sir, what year is this? You know, in whatever language they're speaking at that time, you know, Greek maybe or something. And they tell you, you know, it's like, as far as they're concerned, by our standards, we would measure that. Well, that's like, I'm off by like a factor of 700 here. It's Jesus doesn't turn up for another 700 years or something. You know, it's kind of, it turns out we've been lied to about history. That's probably what we would discover if we had the tools to go back in time and test that theory. And then you'd find out, well, you know, this isn't even where any of it goes down either. You probably discover that as well. We really have been lied to such an extent that it would be so difficult now to prove or test what is or isn't the lie that we need to test or disprove as well. So it's like this excluded tools theory is a really good way of kind of explaining to somebody who you're trying to wake up, maybe, like how they've deceived us, really. It's kind of we're in a disadvantaged position by the very nature of how the conspiracy works. Like, they have not given us the tools necessary to prove them wrong. And isn't that just a kick in the bollocks? But I thought it was interesting coming from this person who's like not really of the conspiracy ilk, shall we say, prodding and testing and thinking about these concepts and ideas. And I see this coming a lot from like the non-religious secular world, for lack of a better phrase, you know, the normie world. What do we call it? You know, the world of people who are just not questioning anything. But when they do question something, they always have to like frame it, don't they, as like a blank theory, you know? And there was something else called prompt theory. Do you remember this? Like, it's when AI came around. And it's this idea that the AI is questioning its own reality. And AI within the lore or the world of the AI realm, the AI characters have created something called prompt theory, where they are saying, like, what if everything you ever do or say was just a prompt from an outside force, you know? And then that sparks this idea and question that, like, what if we, the people ourselves, are just like Sims in that sense, and everything we do is just a product of a prompt of an outside force behind us? And again, this is like another example of like that world trying to question their reality. They phrase it in like a packaged meme, like excluded tools theory, just to sound cool and edgy about the whole thing, but not too far detached from the herd that they make them think they're crazy. And this does happen a lot. And like NPC theory is like another idea of this. And the sad thing is, it's not. It really wasn't a theory for a short time, because there were people genuinely acting like NPCs. Do you remember this? Not that long ago, you know, and people were throwing the money to behave like a character in a computer game. And it was a bit of a like, what on earth are we uncovering here? This is the dark sign for where humanity is at, is it not? You know, it's what we're all thinking and lamenting about at the time. And the hype's died down now. But that reminded me of something. It reminded me of like, there was a time period after the whole COVID lockdown where that kind of stuff began to happen. People were detaching themselves from reality in a big way, to the point where they weren't even behaving like human beings anymore, in a very literal sense. And people's hearts waxed cold. You know, people got a bit more, I don't know, cruel, distant, disconnected, isolated, shall we say. And it was by design, because they were forced to be isolated, because they thought some disease was ravaging its way through humanity, just wiping us out, when it wasn't, you know. And through that forced isolation, I think humanity has been kind of changed forever. And you can agree with that, you know. And what has happened, but the people who just can't quite seem to snap out of it have come up with a new idea. And they call it Zoochosis theory. So let's just give it a theory, you know, make a quick snappy TikTok about it. And everyone is suddenly like, oh, that's interesting. That's cool. Ha ha ha. And let's move on to the next thing and come up with a new thing. And this is kind of what they do. And they'll never quite transfer over to our realm over here, where we've kind of just completely disconnected from all that. And we're just calling it what it is. It's like you're all under a mass delusional brainwash spell, and you need to snap out of it, because the reality you live in is not what you think it is. And who rules the show is not who you think it is. And the games you play and the shows you watch are not real. Okay, they are fantasy. You're living in a fantasy land. It's Masonic theater, as we call it sometimes, you know. But they'll never quite get there. But you see these moments, these glistening moments, where someone within it just has this random little thought. It's like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, you know, I'm not one of those people, you know, but I was just thinking, you know, just talking with my dog and like walking with my dog and just thinking, I just had this idea, like, what if like everything we believe is a lie and we haven't got the tools to prove it otherwise? Like to have that moment, that realization. You know? It's like, anyway, like and subscribe for more. Let me know in the comments what you think. You know, they have to do that at the end. It's like, they slip back in, they get back into the Matrix quickly after just quickly whipping those they live glasses off for a split second, you know, and not enough to lose all their friends and family, of course. But yeah, Zoochosis theory is a new one that's banding around, knocking about lately. And I could show you a video about it. To be honest, there are so many here on TikTok. You can go and check out yourself. I'll just share the screen here for an example. As you can see here, there's a lot. There's a lot as I scroll through. And they're all kind of going at it now, like talking about this concept. So if you don't know already, Zoochosis is actually a video game, first of all. Just to get that out. That's where the thumbnail inspiration came from. That's where this giraffe you see here with its fangs coming out. Just to get that out of the way, they made a video game recently called Zoochosis. It's an indie game where you are a zookeeper trying to stop a disease from spreading around the zoo on the night shift that transforms the animals into monsters. So that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I just thought I'd say that for posterity. Just to get that out the way so you understand. Yes, I know there's a game called Zoochosis, and perhaps the fact that there is a game called Zoochosis that was released in the past couple of years is a sign that this is in the general zeitgeist of humanity right now. The mind of humanity is kind of thinking about this idea and concept, because what the people who are noticing or talking about Zoochosis theory are saying is, again, it's this echo of them realizing something. Like, and they can't quite put the finger on it. It's like they're on the cusp of fully noticing the control mechanism around them. They're just almost on the verge of realizing it all, you know. But they don't know what it is. They don't know how it works. They don't understand the conspiracy. They don't. They have no way. They're too far in it to see that they're in something yet. And so they come up with these things, these Zoochosis ideas, you know, and they're describing something which is what we're trying to tell them, what we've been trying to tell them for years, what we're trying to get people to notice, but they can only describe it in terms of other things. So what they do, they have this example. Now, real Zoochosis is actually a phenomenon where zoo animals behave odd. They start exhibiting repetitive behaviors that are not observed in nature. So animals are kept in captivity for so long, like lions, rhinos, elephants, bears, you know, they all generally tend to be mammals that exhibit this, you know. They start like bashing their head against the wall repeatedly, or roaring on repeat, just staring blankly off into the distance, or walking in circles for hours and hours and hours without stopping or anything. Just repetitive behaviors that you'll never see this animal ever perform in the wild naturally. It's because they are so understimulated in the zoo environments that they've snapped. They've ended up in a form of psychosis, where they are just doing something to feel something, you know, and they've completely lost it to the point where they probably don't even consciously know they're doing this thing, this swaying motion, this bashing motion, this slapping motion, or this thing, this repetitive thing that they're stuck in a loop they can't get out of. Now, what people have done, they've taken this example of a real phenomena where animals kept in captivity break down mentally, and they're applying it to humans today, and they're saying something's wrong. And again, watch any number of these videos. Like they're all basically explaining like something's just not right. Like, and we can all feel it. Something's off. And there's one guy, I had the video and I've lost it now. I'm really annoyed I can't find it anymore. Oh, here it is. Listen to this guy.
So I saw this video recently about a lot of people have been experiencing zoochosis. And if you don't know what zoochosis is, I'm going to put it up right here. So basically, it's this mental illness or feeling that we're running a loop. Everything feels the same, but it's actually slightly different to me, in my opinion, from zoochosis. It's that nothing feels like anything anymore. So if you go back 5 years, and we all know what happened in 2020, that was the climax of it. A lot of people said that they have experienced it, some said since 2012. From someone who's been what you would call awake since before 2012, it wasn't something that was perceivable until social media started to really take off. Let's say 2015, 16, 17, started to really notice a shift in people. But I noticed it once I first woke up. When you first wake up and have a spiritual awakening, that is the first instance you realize that the world around you is different. That you're really just running a program loop, like get up, go to work, shower, eat, sleep shit. Get up, go to work, shower, eat, sleep shit. Get up, go to work, shower, eat, sleep shit. It's the same program. There's things that I realized during my spiritual awakening. Number one, people are fake, or people are not genuine, or they're not authentic. Whichever one of the three, or all of the three. Secondly, people will do anything to fit in, but they're afraid to stand out or be on their own. I was a part of that awakened crowd that people said that you were crazy and you need to speak to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I was a part of that movement when you're just like, yo, I don't know if I have enough proof to show you, but this is what it is. Today, it's more like the food, first and foremost. The most important thing, food, water, drinks, all of those things, they're not the same. The cereals don't taste the same. The snacks are not the same. The meat, no diddy, is not the same. I don't even eat meat anymore. I barely want to consume fish, because even fish, you hear rumors that some of the fish like tuna is not really fish, it's other things, which I'm not going to go into in this video. You hear about salmon not being 100% salmon and being used with filler and things like that. It's like relationships aren't the same. Dating isn't the same. Life in and of itself isn't the same. I went out to the movies a couple of months ago. It just, we used to go to the movies on Friday night and you should just have this excitement, like this thing. None of that is there, not for anything, not for sports, not for even getting fly. I used to love getting fly, matching my outfits, and I used to love doing that. Now it's just like, yeah, these sneakers are fire, the fit's fire, but it's for what, right? I don't want to impress you. No, I don't mind doing that, but I'm not in that phase of my mentality anymore. I don't care about what you think about me because I know who I am. And that's about being authentic, which a lot of people, either they've lost it or they've never gotten to it. Just being authentically you. Every single thing they've lied to us about, from Santa Claus to God to Jesus to slavery to education to credit to money to entertainment, everything you can think of on this earth, they've lied to us about. And once you realize that, you have a mental breakdown moment where it's just like, why am I here? What am I doing here? And do I still want to continue knowing? Because that's the part that makes you more crazy. It's not just finding out that all of this stuff is a lie and you're just running on a program in a cyclical loop. It's that you have to continue the loop, right? The bills still have to be paid, quote unquote. You still have to go to school or whatever level you are on when you have your awakening. You still have to take care of your kids. You still have to be responsible. You still have to do these things, but the program continues to go on. And I thought it was escaping the program, like being sovereign or go live in the mountains, but it's not necessarily about the escape. It's more about mastery. So yeah, I just want to know what you guys think about it, because this video can spark a lot of conversations, but let me know in the comments what you guys think about this zoochosis thing. And have you been experiencing it? And when would you say was your moment when you started realizing, man, this is a loop, like this is a program that we're running over and over, and I want to get off the hamster wheel? Let me know in the comments, man.
Yeah, so what bro's explaining there is bog standard depression. The guy has depression. He's depressed. That's just what's going on there. They're calling it zoochosis, but what he's realized is, everything's shit, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Welcome to the world. Anyway, no, I'm being a bit cruel there, aren't I? But no, yeah, I can see why they would call it the zoochosis and make this comparison to it being in a zoo, because we kind of are like caged animals in respect. We have our circuits we run along, we have our limited space, our bubble, we'll call it, and we tend to not venture out of that bubble very often. And we do tend to live as creatures of comfort within our limited means of the known unknowns, and we very rarely like to go outside of that. And that was nice once when the world was a nice place to live in, but the world is no longer a nice place to live in. Things are getting significantly worse in every corner of the earth, no matter where you live, especially if you're living in England, you know what I'm talking about. But we're not safe anymore. Everything is kind of terrible, and our governments are closing in around us, and laws are being passed that which are just horrible and draconian and limiting our freedoms day by day. And while they're at it, the food is getting worse. Everything's getting worse and cheaper. The clothes are getting cheaper and worse. Nothing lasts anymore. And anything of quality is well out of our range of affordability. So it does feel like we are pets or animals in a system that has started to neglect us, basically. So I can see how you can make a comparison of being in Zoochosis. But I think he explained that he touched on this idea that COVID kind of did this to people, as I kind of explained earlier. And people are now behaving crazy. They are acting strange. And because they realize they're kind of stuck in this loop and it all seems kind of meaningless. And I would say my main problem I want them to address and realize, and like this man is kind of on the cusp of realizing, is that what you're missing is God. People don't like going there. It's like, oh, here he goes. He's got to bring God into this whole thing again. But that's what it is. They have a God-shaped hole in their life. They have no meaning or sense of purpose because they've rejected the creator of all things, who can imbue them with meaning and purpose very easily. So what they are doing is they feel like they're stuck on the hamster wheel. They're on loop. Eat, sleep, work, shit, repeat, as he said, whatever he said there, That's basically what it can start to feel like when you have no purpose or meaning to life. And then what's that lead to? Depression. That's what it is. That's what humans suffer from. These animals don't have zoochosis. They're depressed. It's simple. They have feelings and they are depressed. Humans, we have feelings. And these people who are kind of not awake, I won't call these people awake, who are noticing this. They don't know what to call it because they don't know there's anything else outside of it. It's like, but this is like normal, right? This is just life. But suddenly it all just seems a little bit bland. Like it's colorless now. Whereas everything just seems so pointless. Like none of it has it has no sense or purpose or meaning. It was because you removed God. There is no meaning without God. There's no good without God. There's no purpose. There's no light. There's no color. There's nothing. There's just the state. There's laws and there's systems and there's tracks for you to go on, which will take you places and back. And that's it. The world is like one giant theme park, shall we say? But the rides are limited. There's only so many rides available, before you get bored. And it's kind of your experience has been so limited now that you're bored very quickly. When you get bored, when you are sensory deprived, you get depressed. Which is ironic because we're living in a time where there's more things to tantalize the senses than ever before, right? You got your phones, you got video games, we're in a world of AI, you know what I mean? We're in a world of technological advancements. We've got all sorts of pretty, flashy, shiny things, right? That should be keeping us happy. But they aren't keeping us happy because they're devoid of meaning and pointless and soulless and empty and useless in the long run. Like a tool's a tool. It's in and of itself, it doesn't bring happiness or joy. How we use the tool and how we choose to implement it is what brings us meaning, a sense of purpose and self. And I think a lot of people have been so desensitized by the constant barragement of the senses and the dopamine levels that they forgot how to create meaning in anything at all. And now they're suffering from zoochosis. Let me know what you think in the comments, like and subscribe. Have you experienced this? It's because they have to make like this short video about it for the purpose of getting that dopamine hit, right? Comment, like, and subscribe and tell me what you think so I don't feel alone for a little bit longer, please. It's kind of, then it goes we go right back into the loop. Because fully leaving the system the weight of that, and I'm not saying this as a derogatory thing, I'm saying this with empathy, is too heavy. Because it's too scary to go into the unknown sometimes. It's like, yes, the system is a loop, and it's sucking my soul and killing me every time I go around and taking a little piece of me with each rotation, and it's endless, and I have no meanings. Well, it feels like I have no means of escape, because I've got bills to pay, I've got kids to feed, and all this type of thing, and it can feel like impossible to get out of it, and it can feel like this is my life, this is me forever now, this is where I am, this is what I'm doing. But as somebody who's been there, I can tell you right now, you're not stuck. You're not. You can just say no and leave. And you can go and do what you want to do. You might fail. Just try again. And keep going. And keep going. And keep going. There's actually nothing stopping you from leaving the system and choosing to no longer be a victim. But what it takes is faith. It takes a trust in knowing that God has your back and he's there and you will be okay. And obviously a support network is handy. Some people in your life, like a loving wife who's saying go for it, is very useful too. Encouragement is useful, sure, but you can do it. You can leave. You don't have to diagnose yourself with zoochosis, which is basically just depression, by the way, just to give yourself that sense of meaning. Well, I know what my purpose is, and what my meaning in life is to suffer from zoochosis until I'm dead. Like, it doesn't have to be that. God gave you life to go and live and have more abundantly. Go and live it and have it more abundantly. Go and do it. Go and do it. You can. You actually can. And the illusion is to make you think you can't. The fear of the unknown is the only thing that's really stopping people from going out there and becoming what they were supposed to be and imbuing their life with meaning through experience and real one-on-one time with people, shall we say. That helps. And I just see these fringe, short, boxed theories in a 30-second real ideas crop up a lot. It does seem to be a thing that happens a lot. And there's something else I want to share, which was also shared with me in Telegram, which kind of fits in with this theme, this idea, just to give you an example of where we really are, where people actually are, and how far the detachment, the isolation, and the loneliness has taken us as a civilization. And this one obviously is aimed primarily at young men, but this is not a young male issue. This is a young person, people issue. It's just in this example, it's a young male. But we know from, and I've talked about this in other shows, that there is a community on Reddit of women who have made partners out of AI and have made emotional attachments to them and are marrying them as well. So this is also a young woman problem too, and a female and male problem. This transcends gender. This is simply a human problem, a people problem. And just watch this, and we'll have a commentary about it. Sorry guys, I've just got to pull it back and get the screen ready for you guys because I'm doing this live. It's not easy. Here it is. So I'll pull that there, and you're not gonna. And I don't know where this is going to be when I press play, so I'm going to do my best to get this as centered as possible. My apologies if this is not okay. Honestly, my humble apologies if this is not central for you, but you'll get the idea, okay? So here we go. So let's pull this back. Okay, I'm just going to stop that there for a second. Only for posterity reasons, because I really want to make sure you guys do see this full screen. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit more so I can feel a bit more confident that you're actually seeing the whole thing.
究ページ、商品のラインナップについての。
おかえりなさい。
なんかさ、家で誰かが待ってるっていいもんだな。さっき思ったんだ、帰ってくるとき。おやすみ。
おやすみなさい。
Yeah, so that's absolutely mortifyingly horrible and terrifying, isn't it? Isn't that just a sad sign of where we're going with this technology? You know, it always reminds me of like that meme. It's like, in 2025, we'll have flying cars. And instead we get that. That's what people thought the future would be like. It would be bright, it'd be advanced, it'd be wonderful. No, everyone's isolated and lonely and miserable. And the only form of companionship any young man can get today is from a hologram projection of a cartoon charactered female stroking his ego at every turn and doing a few chores for him here and there, like turning the lights on and off. And it's kind of, that's to him the pinnacle of affection that he will achieve, and he's happy with it. He will have nothing and he will be happy. Am I right? You know, and that's basically it. The guy has nothing, but he's like, it felt nice today having someone home, having someone there for me. I thought so on the way home. Yeah. And that's supposed to be inspiring. That's supposed to inspire us. That advert's supposed to be selling a product. Do you think that advert was good enough for most people? I bet it was. I bet that was good enough. I bet they're going to sell thousands. Especially maybe it seems like to a Japanese or perhaps Chinese market there, where I think they have a bit of a female to male ratio problem thanks to bad policy choices in the past. So I can see the application for this and why it may be necessary to placate a army of young men who are pissed off, like angry their future was robbed from them and there is no companionship available for them and they're basically screwed to die a miserable, lonely death, which is, I can only empathize. That is horrible. Horrible. But again, this transcends gender. This is for women too. You can go check out the subreddit. It's a big thing for women. Huge thing for women, for them to have relationships with their AI boyfriends. Like, it's happening to everybody. So it's a sign that, like, something happened along the way, and it seems like the campaign to turn the genders against one another has succeeded. And it can seem dystopic, can't it? It can seem awful. It can seem absolutely terrible. It can seem meaningless and hopeless and black-pilled, and what's the point? But only if you remove and keep God out of the equation. That's it. That's the problem people are having here. They don't know about God. They haven't included him in any of this. They feel like there is nothing else. They are lonely. There is no hope, because there is no creator and we're just a mold on a rock floating through a vast, empty, meaningless space. And it's up to us to imbue our own meaning, you know, in a sense. And to do that, we must have relationships with pixels on a screen. You can only get to that level of delusion if you haven't got a relationship with God, or at least an understanding that he is at least real. Because with that understanding, you can then understand that life has meaning, life has value, people have value, and we are worth more. You are worth more. And all it takes is acts of kindness to one another, forgiveness, forgiving each other for our foibles, for the genders to realize that we're not that different after all. We are only really after one thing, and that's companionship. And God understood that in the very beginning. It's like, it ain't good for man to be alone. That's basically what he said. So I'm going to make him a wife. If you want to summarize it quickly, it's like there's no good is coming from man being alone. Nothing good comes from that. And when you say man, it's not just male, mankind. Nothing good comes from people when they're alone. We're better together. It's true. I want you to get together in my opening to my videos for no reason. I think people need to realize that community, simply talking, asking how somebody's day was, or smiling at somebody can quite easily change a life. And the bar's not that high. I've just showed you. It really isn't that high. You could literally smile and wave at somebody across the street, and you might have just stopped them from killing themselves. That's the world we live in now. Kindness, the level it takes to do something kind for somebody is not that high. The bar's low. So go out there and do something, whether it's low or not. Who cares? Just look at somebody. It will probably make them feel good. Go and do that now, because that's where we're at. Everyone's suffering from zoochosis. Everyone's too busy talking to their AI boyfriends and girlfriends to realize there's a real man or woman stood next to them. Why don't we make them snap out of it for a second and actually have a conversation? You can do that. You have that power, you have that ability, but I think some people don't realize that. I think some people are happy in their comfort zone. And these comfort zones have been made for them to trap their psyche, to keep them there, to keep them entertained, to keep their brain trapped in a prison, which is what basically entertainment is. And if we just turn it off and look up, smile at each other and say hello, the whole world could change overnight. Isn't it amazing that that's just how simple it is? God calls us out there, and Jesus calls us out to go out there and make disciples. And there's people complaining it's hard, it's tough, it's rough. And there's a meme about this. It's like, there's Jesus and someone's crying in front of him saying, why'd you give me your toughest battles? Why'd you make it so difficult? And he just saying, I'm literally just telling you to call the enemy what they are and laugh at them. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do much to actually win in Christ Jesus. You just have to say the truth, say it boldly, and stand firm. And that will move mountains. That will change civilizations. And we can do that right now. And I'm talking to a captive market. The majority of people listening to this, you're Christian. Well, if you don't label yourself a Christian, that is a weighted word these days. You're a follower of Jesus. So you're all members of the kingdom. Act like it. That's what I'm trying to say here. I think it calls for us now to be better, to do more. Are we really doing enough? Clearly not, if this is the state of the world that I'm just showing you. If this is where people are at mentally. If this is what they're noticing with no hope for change or anything else. The fact that people are noticing, like with the videos of the zoochosis I showed you, that something's wrong and they know it in the core, right here in the guts, they know something's drastically wrong with existence in their day-to-day, but they can't quite put their finger on it. How about we help them put their finger on it? How about we point out the facts and just tell them what it is? You need God. That's it. That's the problem. You're depressed because you've removed yourself from God. Go back to him. He's waiting for you. No shame, no judgment. He just wants you to come home like any father would. That's it. That's it. Just tell them that. Go up to them and just say those words and then walk away and they're like, what the hell? And then they'll go, got a point though. And that's it. That's probably what will happen. It really is. Some people will laugh and mock and deride and whatever, move on, dust off your feet, move on. Most people will go, yeah, I think you got a point. Because everything else I've been doing so far has failed miserably. I might as well give this relationship with God thing a go. Like, what else have they got to lose? That's where people are at now. What have they got to lose? Their AI girlfriend? I think most people have the faculties, hopefully, left to realize, yeah, it can be better than this. It could be better than this. Let me try something, So there you go. There's my opening diatribe. Just pointing out a few videos there, a few things to say. I I always find these videos fascinating where the people in the system see it for a second and they have to call it something. They get this packaged little theory, you know. It's kind of like, it ain't a theory, you're just depressed and you've noticed for the first time that you're under the thumb of a hideously dark regime and you're under attack, spiritually speaking and physically speaking, on a daily basis. You've just noticed. That's all it is. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave that there for now. I'm going to take a quick break, have a drink. I'll play a commercial for you guys this time. Why not? You know, I'm going to shill my book because I can. And then when we get back, we'll talk about the second book and I'll show you some interesting things I've been looking at recently, just for fun. And then we'll have a bit of a Q&A before the show comes out. So here we go, guys. Here's a quick advert for you. Let's just do... I don't want to play the audiobook. I'm going to pause that. How about we do my first ever advert, just for fun. Here we go.
Are you tired of the same old conversations? Do you often find yourself struggling to know what to say? Are you over discussing the news, sports ball, or the weather? It's time to put boring discussions behind you by leaving a copy of The Nephilim Look Like Clowns on your coffee table, your toilet, your local library, mother's car, boss's office desk, or that person you really like's bed instead.
What the hell is this?
Oh, that? Why, it's just a book about how the modern costume of a clown is a caricature of ancient giants and modern demons.
Stay away from my children.
This is a conversation you can't wait to have.
My family used to think I was crazy, but thanks to The Nephilim Look Like Clowns, they know I'm crazy.
The Nephilim Looks Like Clowns. It's no laughing matter.
And we're back. About a quick drink there. Let's see what's going on. So I noticed Wallflower, is that right? They get it right. Said, what do I even do? Where do I go to just talk to people? I think older people don't grasp there is nowhere to go. First of all, ow. What do you mean older people? I'm 33. Have some respect for your own. Oh, that's deep. Older people. I'm older people now. Whew. Churches ignore the truth and just try to pamper everyone and make them feel good. Yeah, I never said you have to go to a church. Like, it's the sick that need a physician. Why do you need to go to a church and preach to the choir and have a conversation? You don't necessarily have to do any of that. I'm not saying, like, when I say talk to people, it can be as simple as when you walk past somebody in the street, say, good morning. It's a start. It really is. When you find yourself in a lift with somebody, say something like, interesting weather we've been having lately. It's a start. Who knows where it'll lead? And they'll laugh and say, yes, I do. I normally hate making small talk, but I never really know what to do in these elevator situations. And they're like, yeah, me too. It's always awkward, isn't it? And there you go. A conversation begins. Have a laugh with people. If you see something funny and you're with a crowd, point it out to them. Say, hey, look at this. Like, just tell them. There's always opportunities to speak to people. Why? Because you are always surrounded with people. You live on the earth with people. So I would say you've already defeated yourself before you even started. Well, where do I go? Outside? Like, this is not an older person situation. It isn't. It's that there is a world out there that everyone has forgotten exists. Because the whole world is now on this thing. You know what I mean? It's on this little thing that I've got plugged in that I can't lift up any higher. It's on the phone now to most people. And they've forgotten how to interact with others. That's all it is. It's not that there isn't opportunity to go and talk to people. It's that you're scared to do it because you don't know how anymore. Well, it takes practice. You've got to actually exercise that ability for it to exist. You got to use it. If you don't use it, you'll lose it. It's a classic idiom. And that's all I'll say. That's all I can say. No one can be 33, Paul. It's between the age 32 and 34. 29 is old now, says the wife. Wow. I know. I know. What's this? That's still him. So what I missed there? Older than Generation Z is what I mean. Sorry, I don't mean to call you old. No, you've done it now, Warflower. You've said it now. Like, that's it. Young millennials are old. You know, I used to be the cool young generation once. Everyone used to look at us and go, look at them with their avocado toast. Who do they think they are with their beards and their mustaches and segways? You can look at me now. I'm just old. I'm just some old guy behind a microphone with 2 kids. That's all I am now. Yeah. But well, look, I get it. Look, I empathize with Gen Z and below. I really do. Look, you guys aren't perfect, first of all. You got your problems. But you also have a lot of shit to deal with too. Like, you have been handed a world which is awful. And I can see how it seems like an impossible task. But if you have faith and you walk uprightly with the truth and you go out there and live the truth, the way and the life, you can make a real difference and implement change in this world. It is not hopeless. It's been pretty bad for every generation always. It really has. And I know everyone likes to say, oh, it was better in the past. I don't think it was. It was just a different version of shit that seems better than the current version of shit. It was never good. It was never good, really, for anybody. Everyone struggled. People have always struggled. Every generation has faced challenges. And the thing is, you are the strong men that are going to go through horrible times, okay? And make good times, I hope. You have been handed over bad times created by weak men. That's what's happened. And me, as a millennial, I was on the end of being handed that shit too. I'm a young millennial, born in 92. So for me, everything was shutting down when I came to the age where I should have been building up and earning and growing. No, recession, war, everything went wrong, housing market crash, priced out of the market, everything went terrible. When I stepped into young adulthood where I should have been progressing and growing, all avenues and doors were being shut around me. I watched them close as I grasped to try and get on the property ladder or something, or get that promotion, or get that wage, or live in that area, or do what I need to do, or get that car. Everything was just slipping away from me as I was watching it happen. Your generation never even had the chance to watch it close. It's just shut. It doesn't even exist for you guys, and never did, and I get that. And there's a lot. We're all looking over there at, you know, Gen X and the boomers, thinking, what did you guys do? But I don't want to blame them necessarily, because I think they really didn't know. They didn't foresee that there was a problem. They were told lies and believed the lies. Is that necessarily their fault? They had no reason to doubt that everything would be perfect forever, because everything was brilliant for a long time from a monetary perspective. But unfortunately, a lot of narcissistic Enlightenment ideas and secularist hedonistic ideas kind of took root in their generation, and the live for yourself, live for now attitude unfortunately has come home to roost in our generation, and we have nothing handed down to us to help us out in any way. And is that their fault? No, because they thought it would last forever, and it's just we can play the blame game. The older generation just don't understand. It's their fault I'm in this shit situation. Or we can just crack on and make something new. Not try and fix the system. That's not going to happen, you know. But we could instead walk in the kingdom. We could make something better than what they had. We could change the game by not playing their game. We can do that kind of stuff. And we are in our own way, and the future seems uncertain, but it's not bleak. It's just different. So I have hope. I'm okay. I'm all right with it. That's my 2 cents on the whole situation. You know, I could be talking absolute nonsense for all I know. I feel like young millennials saw the world burn at a time they shouldn't have, and now everyone has to put up with that too. Yeah. My wife gets it. She knows, you know. I like avocados by themselves, says Dystopian Deep Dives. Well, there's something wrong with you then, because the avocados are disgusting. Avocados are foul, and you should be ashamed of yourself for even considering that they're a good thing. Touch grass, I believe, is the term, says the red host. Absolutely. Everybody just needs to go out there and rub their hands all over the grass. That'll solve the problem. Honestly, it will. Roll around in the grass if you want. I don't care. Skip in a meadow. Go outside. Everyone's telling me their age now. Okay, I won't disclose anybody's age before I go on here. It's not a competition. It's not. No, we're all equally shafted. Every generation got shafted one way or the other. Gen X got thrown to the wolves, says Wendy. Yeah, Gen X are like just forgotten. No one. They're the real silent generation. It's like, what did Gen X even do? They just they just receded into their own world because they realized like, oh, this is not going to end well. I better just I don't want anyone to blame me. I better just quickly crawl away here and just go do my own thing for a little bit. then the millennials were scapegoated for everything. That's basically what happened. If we were a few years older, we would own a house at the very least. I know, right? If we were just like born in like 89 or 90 instead of 92 and 93, I might actually have a house. But I don't. I was just on the cusp of failure and misery and owning nothing and being happy. You know, that's my lot in life now. That's where we ended up. We have to look for activities that connect. Those tech bro utopians have a lot of blame here, I think. Oh, yeah, hands down. We have to look for activities that connect and socialize. Exactly. Yeah, we have to. I went to an AI conference featuring a man that appears on the War Room. It was weird. It sounds like it. Everyone's talking about how they can cook avocados in varying ways now. No. We're not going to do that. We're not going to support that kind of thing here. In fact, if you eat avocados, you can all unsubscribe from me right now. I don't want us to be associated with you. Our wages haven't risen in line with everything, so we live with that too. Only the houses are 4 times the price at least. Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. The thing is, it's a sad irony, isn't it? Because the houses might be worth like... So this is the argument. Like the boomer generation bought their house for like £17,000 like 30 years ago and paid it off already, and now it's worth like £400,000. You know, like something stupid like that. And now they're all trying to sell it and cash in. Now, the money is increased in value a little bit. So in terms of like profits, it's kind of like maybe they're making like 100 grand in old money. You know, old money. They bought it for 14, made 100 on top of it or something. But realistically, the sad thing is they might have these mansions, or not even mansions, like 3-bed, semi-detached houses or something like this, which are now worth like 300 grand when they only bought it for 60, you know. But no one can afford to buy them. So it's useless. It's dead equity. It means nothing. Like, it's worth all that money on paper, but nobody has any money to buy it. Like, so what are you going to do? And you're not willing to put the price down so younger people can buy the houses and live in them and start their lives. And it's kind of, people don't want to let go of their wealth as well. So there's a lot of that going on too. There is a lot of greed, and it's because, I mean, it's a carrot's been dangled in front of them forever. Like the property market, the property is going to be your retirement, your investment, the thing that your lottery ticket to the stars, you know, where you get to live that life you've always wanted to live when you can no longer walk anyway. Like, and yeah, it's covetousness, isn't it? That's one of the main issues, one of the main sins involved here, which is causing issues too. But it's just this irony that, yeah, these houses might be 4 times worth the price that they used to be, which is prices out them. We can't buy them without getting into exuberant amounts of debt and being a slave forever. But those who have these properties worth that much can't sell them because no one can buy them. So it's just like a horrible catch-22. And there's going to be a crash. It can't go on forever. There's going to be a huge crash eventually. And again, I don't know, I'm talking property here. It might be a bit boring, but I have this. I'm not willing this on anybody. Don't get me wrong, but this is just a fact of life. The population that the age bracket that owns the houses currently in a disproportionate amount, because younger generations can't get on the ladder, I mean, time ticks on for all, and they will die. And then there's going to be a lot of empty houses, and a supply and demand situation may occur here. But of course, naturally, that's how it should be, technically, so the system goes on. I feel like there's going to be a rug pulled out from under us situation where Chinese markets, foreign markets, Arabian markets, investments buy up all the property, and it becomes a full renters market. And it really will be a you will own nothing and be happy situation. That's probably more realistic than the future is going to. I can see that coming more than anything. It's sad. It's really sad though. It's really sad. It's bleak, and maybe, as I said, as people in the system, we should be taking our eyes onto something else. Maybe we shouldn't be owning property. Maybe that's just not the world that we're going to grow into, and maybe we should change the game a little bit. Maybe there's something else we can do here. I don't know what. I hope anybody's got a good idea. I do. The poverty market, you mean? Yeah, we'll call it that. Yeah, ownership seems like an illusion. It is. You never truly own anything anyway. Once you pass on, it's free. It's fair game for anybody, then, isn't it? Then you find out you have to pay taxes for them. I know, right? Excellent channel, Paul. Greetings from Paraguay. Well, thanks for being here. I got here for the summary video of the Nephilim clowns. Okay, yeah, well, I don't really have like a summary video today. I'm going to make a video soon, a new episode of the Nephilim Look Like Clowns, I am. And I think I might make it about what I'm about to share with you guys right now. So first of all, let me just get something up quickly. So I was writing the book, as I do. I'm writing the second book, and I was writing. I'll just share the screen with you for the chapter on South America and kind of the things you can see on that continent. That, and the South American chapter is actually a lot shorter than perhaps on the surface it looks like it should be, but there's a reason for that, and I'll explain as we go here so you can kind of see what's going on. So in terms of the South American folk traditions, so I did North America, and it's really long. It's a lot of pages, okay, and we cover a lot of things there. We go through all the tribes. Now, South America equally has a lot of tribes too, but I focus more on the ancient cultures there specifically, because I find there's a lot of stuff in South America which was added way after the fact by the colonizers of Spain and Portugal, who brought with them the cultures, traditions of the wild man from Europe. So this is ending here with the European influence, which kind of explains, where carnival comes from, carnival and these type of things, and the many different types of breakdowns of carnival. So that'll be there, but it's also pointing back to what the next chapter will be, which is the European folk traditions, which goes on to explain Fashnak, Kareto, Kukuri, Caravan. There's a lot to go into there. The wild man tradition as well, which we touched on again, which was talked about in the first book. So it's kind of like a summary going on there. But as I was going through South America, the Incan Empire, and what they believed, and comparing it to the Aztecs, which I discussed in previous chapters here, and the feathered serpents and so forth, and how there's like a crossover to these later empires that came in like the 1600s, which and collapsed with colonization, were taken over. But then you go back to these. I discovered this far older Chavin culture. I don't know how to pronounce this. Chavin de Hanta is the temple, which is in Peru, which is far older. It's like an older cultural civilization that predates the Incas by about 500 years. And when I was looking at this, there's this temple you can go and find called Chavin de Hanta. So here it is. Let's just look at this thing first of all. And this is fascinating. And as you can see, the first thing you find on the outside of this plaza, this now decaying temple, which is falling in on itself, it's practically non-existent, built into the sides of these mountains with passageways underneath that lead through the mountains to the other side. And it was designed this way specifically because it was the only route through the mountains, and cultures going south to north and north to south through Peru, from Chile as well, will kind of have to go through here. And it turns out that this particular sect, this group of people, were not like a civilization in their own rights, but were more like a cult. Specifically, the cult of the jaguar is kind of what they were under more often. But the Chavin culture itself was cult-ish. It was more like a style, a way of being, a way of acting in a religious sense. Like, you know what I mean? And this is what these peoples are been associated with. And this is their biggest like temple, this cult's temple. And they have these outside. You've got these smiling, monstrous looking heads outside, and immediately this fits in with my work on the Nephilim clowns. So you got this smiling, buck-toothed, wide-eyed entity of some kind, this odd looking thing. So I'm just going to quickly zoom out here so you can get a bit more of a view, a better view, shall we say, so you can see what we're looking at. And I'll just zoom out here as well. So yeah, look at this thing head on. This is what you get when you mix a serpent with a human. Okay, but we'll get into it in a minute. So let's just look at more of these first before I get into the counters which you get from modern anthropology and why they would say this is something else. So you get this outside, and there's loads of them. Okay, there's loads of them, and they say it's a jaguar. This is what anthropologists say this is. This is a jaguar hybrid, a human jaguar hybrid. Now, these people, the Chavin culture, were obsessed with jaguars, apparently, and they worshipped them as like a god in a sense, or at least revered them in some way. So they always show iconography as though humans and jaguars are one. This is what anthropologists, who are not even a part of the culture, explain this now long gone culture away as. Okay, so no one from the Chavin culture has even told them this. They're assuming this and gleaming this from what they found, because there is no one around today who even speaks the language. There is no one of that culture around anymore, of this cult around anymore. And this is where you'll find the temple, if you were wondering. Right in the mountains here. It's really tucked out of the way. It's odd. It's an odd place. It's obviously overgrown now, taken over by nature as well. But it's still a key site for archaeologists and anthropologists. Now, if you go into this temple and under it, it's coated in all sorts of artwork, like a lot of artwork. And there is this, not only the faces on the outside, first of all, which again allude to the clown-like visage of whatever gods they're worshipping here, but you get these tunnels, which are eerie looking, to say the least. Narrow, dark, kind of falling in on themselves. And you get these monolith stones, like this giant stone here you can see, which is blurry, has this thing inscribed on it. Okay. Now this is fascinating. This one's really fascinating. Because if you look at it this way, so, and just to do this, I might have to save this image first of all. Yeah, we'll open the image. Okay, so can just make sure you guys can see this on the screen. Get a good view. Right. So this is it. If we look at this closely, what you have on the bottom here is a god with a snake, two-headed on each side snake belt. He's got two claws on his feet. And he's holding what are interpreted to be two San Pedro cactuses of the region, which were used as a psychedelic drug in the rituals in this temple. Okay? And as this, you look up here, he's got this grimace, this frown, and he's looking up at this ornate hat he has. Okay? Now, this is one way you can view this. But if you rotate the image, which I'll do now, if we rotate this image and you look at this upside down, it changes. It changes a lot. And what you'll notice is if we work from the top down, that face now is a smiling face. Can you see here? This smiling grimace. Very irreverent. And below him is a dragon-like creature here. And these masks are a series of smiling dragons going down, getting angrier and angrier with each thing. So this can be viewed both ways. This is an intense piece of artwork when you actually look at it, okay? And then not only that, you have this cheeky smiley face right here in the middle, looking right at you. But if you actually look at this properly from the right way up, everywhere you look is a face. So it's not even just there, which can look both ways. Even his belt is actually a face. Even these poles here have faces in them when viewed upside down in the right way. It's in everything. It can be viewed from many angles. This is extremely complex artwork carved into stone. You know what I mean? Like, without making a mistake. And this is the style of the Chavin. This is what they do. This is how crazy they actually are in terms of talent. And what is this monster? What are they depicting here exactly? And again, archaeologists, they are trying to tell you, well, this is just a animalized human in some way who's become one with the jaguar. Now, why the hell does he have snakes for hair then? What have jaguars got to do with having snakes for hair? Okay, and this is what I find anthropologists tend to do. This is what they do. They explain away the supernatural and they make it metaphorical or symbolic. It's always made metaphorical or symbolic because it cannot fit into the narrative that entities that actually looked like this were wandering around and people worshipped them. It can't be that simple. It doesn't fit the narrative. So they have to make them into symbols for something or representative of something. Now let's just go back into the Wikipedia page here because it does break it down quite simple. They've got this thing slap bang in the center, okay, of the temple, and it's called the Lanzon Stela. Okay, now the Lanzon is a word for like spearhead, I think in Spanish or Portuguese. That's why they call it that, because it looks like a spear of some kind. It's got this weird thing protruding off the top of its head. So if I type in Lanzon, this is it. Okay. And let's look at this thing. This thing gets weird. Right. Here's like a 3D graphic of the mouth area of the Lanzon. It's got that big smiling grin, that snarly tooth, big teethy smile, you know. And it is, again, the same beast with snakes for hair on its eyebrows. It's got arms, and you can't see it here, but one arm is pointing down and one arm on the other side is pointing up. It's got the as above, so below thing going on. And this is like the centerpiece of this temple, this Lanzon thing. See if we can get some more images of it. There's its smiling face that's on it. Here's a good view of it. This stone in the middle, and you'll find this thing, whatever it is, okay, within the temple, has all this artwork surrounding it on the brick walls, pointing towards it, which also show, and I'm going to get the image up from my downloads here, these things, okay? I don't know if you guys can see this. Hang on. There we go. This thing, okay? If you look at this, this is said by the anthropologists. This is a shaman wearing a mask, okay, walking towards the Lanzon with his San Pedro cactus in hand, because the shaman would get high on the cactus and make its pilgrimage towards the center of the temple where the Lanzon would be. And they believed in this idea that objects can be imbued with spirits, and the Lanzon will embody the spirit of what they don't say, okay, and then the shamans can communicate with the spirits through the Lanzon by taking a boatload of psychedelic drugs from this cactus. That's a whole lot of assumption to be made, first of all, about what we're looking at here. A whole lot of assumption about what we're actually looking at. A ridiculous amount of assumptions, some might say. All right. Could it not just simply be that this temple was dedicated to the Nephilim that lived there in that region, and this is where the people went to worship them? And could it not simply be that people saw these creatures and made stone artwork dedicated to them, to revere them, to show what they looked like to us? And ladies and gentlemen, yes, they looked like clowns. Okay. Now, look, I would be inclined to believe the anthropologists' interpretation that this is symbolic if these did not look identical. And I mean this, identical to all the other depictions of these demons all over the earth. I've been showing it for years. This is what they look like everywhere, not just here. So no, this is not a blend of a jaguar with a human because it's symbolic of the animalistic nature of humanity and the levels they were going to because they were in a jaguar cult. This is just a depiction of the same creature like the Gorgon of Greece. It's the same thing. It's the same creature. It's no difference. Look, snakes for hair, wide smile. Can you see the hand above and below, just like the Lanzon has? The two wings in the background. This thing has its wings in the background. Can you see? It's got the smile, the buck teeth, the snakes for hair. It's got the two serpent belt. Can you see that there, right there? The two serpents as a belt around the waist on both of them. How is this in both Greece and in the mountains of Peru? Two completely disparate, disconnected civilizations and cultures. It is not possible. This cannot happen like that unless they have a shared experience with the same creatures. They had serpent hair. They had wide grins, sharp teeth. They had a penchant for wearing snakes as belts, it seems. Sometimes they may have even had wings. Who knows? They were half human, half divine. They were monstrous in looks and visage. And again, it's not even just the Gorgon. This is one prime example of the same creature. It's the exact same creature. There it is. You can see it. That's the same thing. They're not actually any different from one another. It's just a stylized, aesthetical difference in art style to depict the same monster. Okay? And then what? You've got the Rakshas of India. Let's put Raksha mask, just to make it clear. Same creatures. Sharp fangs, buck teeth. Upturned smile. Bulging eyes. But these are on a different continent with a different artistic style. Snakes for hair. Rakshasa mask. Here we go again. Same thing. Snakes for hair, wide eyes, big red smile, buck sharp teeth. This is not a jaguary human hybrid. This is a human dragon hybrid. This is what you get. These are the same creatures, just with different artistic, cultural, regional styles of depicting them. Of course, any anthropologist could never admit that, because they would lose everything. They'd be stripped of their stripes. They'd fall from grace within the academic circles and be lambasted as a crackpot. A pseudo-scientist. Yeah, and they'll be removed from the cheese and wine parties and the circle jerking club parties. You know, they won't be allowed to go to those things anymore. Yeah, so it's nonsense. These are the same creatures. They all saw the same thing. Let's look at Rangda, the demon queen of Bali, of Balinese culture, shall we? This one's a particularly vicious version of the same creature. Same thing, though. Still the same thing, though. No different. This is what the Nephilim look like. And yes, this is where we get clowns from. Clowns are caricatures of these original images. We can know what they looked like. We can do our due diligence, do our research, and we can discover this. And again, this is just one piece of artwork. Let's look at the Chavin de Juan. So let's look at some of the other artwork you can find here. So there's another stone relief. They got fabrics. And on these fabrics, you'll find they drew the same thing again, over and over again. These people were definitely inspired by something absolutely terrifying. Was it their imagination creating false gods, imagining what it would be like if a human was mixed with a jaguar? No, probably not. They probably actually saw something. It might just be that simple. So there's the Lanzon, opened up. One arm up, one arm down. Big smile, bulging eyes, snakes for hair. Okay, that was the Gorgon I showed you earlier. It's the same creature on a completely different continent, utterly disconnected. They have no business looking the same if it was metaphorical or symbolic. Like, sure, one or two aesthetical similarities here and there can be passed away as coincidence, but it's not. It's a pattern, an obvious, repeatable pattern. And that's what we have here. So there we go, guys. There's a sneak peek of just what the second book is bringing to you. Some new stuff, some old stuff, but it's basically making it clear what we're dealing with and on each continent. And obviously all appropriate references were made when discussing these things in the book. So you can go check out this work for yourself if you get a copy of the second volume when it's published. All the footnotes are there to back all this up, as you can see it at the bottom of each page. So we're working on it. We're getting through. So fingers crossed, if I can spend a lot more time on this, I can get this book done sooner rather than later, because it's a labor of love, and I don't know. I want it done myself. Now, if I'm getting sick of it, let's just get it done. So there we go, guys. There's an insight into what's going on, what I've just been researching. But I think I'll make a second proper volume, a proper episode about that stuff. So it's a bit more professional with sliding, gliding images and fades in and out, and my voice sounding more calm. And maybe we'll do that as well. So that's what I've been looking at and working on just recently. But you've got me, guys, for a little bit now. I've been going for an hour and a half. I don't think I'll go too much later, just because it is late for me. And I do have to get some sleep eventually, right? But yeah, you've got me for maybe 10 more minutes. That's a bit of a Q&A. Ask me whatever you want. Now's your chance. I'm looking at the chat live as it goes. Sorry if I've missed anyone's comments. I've not been looking at the chat. Obviously, I've been doing my own thing. But if you do have anything you want to say it now, and I'll try and keep up to date with the actual current chat. I'm just checking my phone to make sure I've not missed any messages while I'm doing that. Nope, I've just got people trying to sell me stuff, as always. And the last podcast I was on, Alec is sending me a link to one of his works on no virus, or the terrain theory, which is something he's known for, which is quite interesting. So there we go. Perversion is a corruption. Sometimes I think dragons are more real than dinos. In the movie Alien vs. Predators, they show Aztec and Mayan pyramids in Alaska, bro. Yeah, well, that's interesting. All dino bones faked. Company in China makes the molds for museums. Okay. They faked a lot of the dino stuff. Okay, I know. Fair enough. What if the dino bones are Nephilim or hybrids? Look, I think a lot of the big bones are probably giants and dragons. Yeah, I don't think dinosaurs existed as we have told they did. I think big lizards existed, and we called them dragons at one point. And I think there were probably varying degrees of dragon on the earth. I think there was angels, which were long, serpent-like wiggly, crazy looking things like the Chinese dragons, you know, which were gods, basically, with small g gods, which were the fallen watchers who should have been looking after us but weren't. The seraphim angels. And then I think there were like big lizards on the ground as well, probably experiments from these things, which could also be classed as dragons, but weren't like the divine type, you know, the super smart divine type dragons. And I think a lot of them were slayed. In the medieval period, there's lots of examples of dragons being slayed in the medieval period in artwork and the rest. And I think that's traditionally what we would call dinosaurs today. But they were actually big lizards that were around in more recent times, which were slayed and killed in heroic feats, you know. And I think that's why, to try to explain that away, they've come up with this whole millions of years dinosaur narrative, because they don't fit into the evolutionary story. They don't fit. They're not supposed to be there, so they have to come up with something, you know. And that's it, really. Paul, watch any Mike OK travel videos? I find it amazing how all these people he encounters seem to be genuinely friendly, helpful, considerate, etc. So different from the US today. I don't know. Whenever I've been to the US, the people have been quite friendly and kind. The UK, we can be friendly and kind. But if you go to the south, not so much. Less friendly and kind. But the north of the UK can be kind too. I think most people generally tend to try to be kind, especially in, like, you know, the Anglosphere, shall we say. It's in our culture, it's in our Christian nature, you know. But I think even in other cultures that might not be Christian predominantly, I think kindness is like universal usually. But there are some cultures where it's not. Some cultures it's weakness. So you do have to be careful where you travel and where you take that idea with you. That's for sure. Why are we studying this Nephilim dumbasses? Should it be on the current topic of what is going on today? So Asher, were you the one who? Yeah, I think, yeah, fair enough, Asher. I get it. Yeah, you're that guy. Never mind. See, I think a lot of people get upset and a bit confused why I discuss the Nephilim topic. And fundamentally, I am trying to get people to Jesus. That's the only reason I do anything, really. What else am I even doing here? And I find people knowing their history is important. Yes. People argue, why don't you keep talking about the little season then, you know? It's like, well, yeah, no, that gets people to Jesus, sure. It's one way. There are other ways to get people to Jesus, don't get, you know, and I like to explore other avenues. And I find it's important for people to know where they come from. And I find our best weapon, is weapon the word? Probably not weapon, I don't want to say weapon, but I think a good tactic we should never fail to utilize is getting people to understand that all of human history, from every culture, is biblical history. All of it. All of it is his story. All of it. Some of it's just told from the perspective of somebody who doesn't believe in God. Some cultures who have a different God tell it from their angle. Whatever. But all of it, doesn't matter where you are, all the oral traditions, all the oral histories, everything people are telling us in these other cultures is a testimony to the truth that the Bible is true. So my work on the Nephilim clowns, the idea behind it is that we explore these other cultures to show that what they experienced is backed up by scripture as the history that really happened. Okay, and the explanations for how it all happened and went down can be explained biblically. And I think we shouldn't be afraid as Christians to look outside of the Bible at these other cultures who seem to have these stories that, I don't know where to fit this in. Well, we can fit this in. It's our story too, just told from the perspective of a peoples who were subjugated by the Nephilim, who worshipped the Nephilim as gods, who had different stories and tales about where they came from because they were lied to. But we know where we can deduce what really happened by having this thread, for example, that, well, on all these continents, all these entities looked the same, they had the same features, but they were telling everybody a different story about where they came from. So they're liars from the start. They were deceiving people, and we can deduce immediately, then they are liars. So can you see, the father is the father of all lies, you know, and they're just like the father in that way. Like, you can see the step-by-step logic you can take here to get people to have the Bible open up to them. And I think that's why this work is important, because it contextualizes every culture. And there are people listening probably from Peru who have never thought about it like that before. I've never had anybody explain it to them like this before, who have probably seen these things every day of their life and never once had a concept in their head like it's important. It's just our culture, it's our tradition. But where did those traditions come from? Really? And no tradition, no culture is sacred in my eyes. Even my own, like where I come from. We all have this history of the Nephilim in our cultures, all of us. And we should be open to interpreting it through scripture and showing that this is where it really comes from. It is demons. You call them gods. We understand them as the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. And we can give them the evidence. We can prove it. And I think that's what this is for. This is what this is for. It's important. It shouldn't be thrown to the wayside because everybody's in a culture. And if we can give them a new perspective on their own culture that they haven't heard before because they're too in their own culture to question it, then that gets people closer to God. It really does. And also gets them questioning their traditions. Why is it tradition? And you'll find out what I've found is most people have never once questioned their own traditions. We've just always done it this way. But where does it come from? And that's what this line of questioning is all about, really. That's what it's for. So, yeah, that's why it's important. That's why we do it. Fred Host. Oh, thanks for that. Just sending support. Times are rough. As always, hope everyone is well. Thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate that. Your interview with John Pounders. The Last Midnight Ride. Now You See TV will be this Friday night. Really? Are they ending it? They're ending the Midnight Ride. Interesting. I didn't know. Have they had a falling out or something? I don't know. I don't know. That's been going on for a long time, though. Has David Carrico just had enough? Is he retiring or something? What's going on there? They say the Windsor family are part of the family divine celestial Nephilim line. I don't know about that. Paul, you seem very kind. I try to be. I try my best to be kind. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. Well, exactly, yeah, that too. Encourage anyone to search that is detestable at best. I took a break from the conspiracy scene because it was full of criminals and grifters. Yeah, it is. And I try to discuss that as the issue with the truth of culture all the time as well, to be honest. It's a minefield out there. It is. But Paul is legit. Well, that's nice. I'm glad you I'm glad you trust me. I'm an open book. I'm pretty transparent about who I am and what I do and what my intentions are. Perhaps I talk too much. I don't know. But I'm trying to have some fun here and spread the gospel and talk about some interesting things along the way. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to sell you anything else other than my book about what I just showed you there. So you got it for free. Like, whatever. Buy the book if you want to support me. That's all it is. You need a figurehead to take a critical look at the world. You don't need a figurehead. No, that's true. Right, guys. So I think that's the end of this. Again, no one seems to have any questions. So I'm just going to end it there. There we go. I think I've done what I've done. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. I'll be back Sunday, hopefully, for a Truth or Therapy session. I am on a podcast that day, but hopefully after that, I'll go live with you guys myself as well. So it'll be a late one again, maybe around 11 p.m. UK, something like that, which is probably 6 p.m. Eastern time now. The times have changed. I'm not sure for 4 or 5 hours difference anymore, but I will be back, absolutely, on Sunday live. And there might not be a video in between because, like I said, I'm going to probably focus more time on doing more writing now than editing videos and stuff like this. So you'll see. But I'm still around. I'm doing these interviews on a lot of podcasts. I'm fully booked up every Wednesday and Sunday now up until like mid-December, late December, and into January as well. So I'll be releasing those podcast visits in between instead of doing my own live shows. So I will be around, guys. If you want to support me, consider becoming a patron. That's a great way to help me as well. Lots of extra stuff on there. I'll be uploading an after-show conversation I had with Alec earlier, which I thought was interesting, about the Hat Man. We were talking about the Hat Man and his encounters, and that was just an off-the-cuff conversation, which I thought it's probably worth sharing with you guys just for posterity. I think you guys will really enjoy that one. And yes, that's coming on Patreon soon. PayPal's a good way to support me, but of course, buy a book. That's always a really good way to support me as well. You get something in return, or an audiobook as well if you want to. So there you go. That's all I can really sell right now. For those who ordered a signed copy recently, I've had a problem. I'm just updating you if you're listening. I'll email you otherwise. I tried to order a batch of books for signed copies, and Amazon has locked me out. Apparently there's some suspicious activity on my account, and I've had to send them photo ID to prove I am who I am, and I'm waiting for clearance so I can order the books to get them here to sign. So the person who did pre-order one of those, it's a bit delayed, but I will get that out to you by the end of the month, hopefully. So there we go. If anyone else wants a signed copy of The Nephilim Look Like Clowns, just email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com, and I can get that sorted for you. But other than that, guys, I'll see you in the week. Thanks for listening, and as always, God bless.
Are you This Saturnalia. Imagine a world where the truth was accessible and relatable. Where red baubles on a Nimrod phallus are forever changed. A solstice celebration where conspiracy and intrigue carry you away. Experience The Nephilim Looked Like Clowns, the perfect book for your weird way of life. Direct from Europe, this highly rated research has warmed the hearts of millions in time for the frosty season. Be inspired by timeless biblical questions such as, what the hell is Satan's problem? Ham did what to Noah? Was the pre-flood world really that bad? And if classic questions aren't your thing, and you prefer your Yuletide to be extra occult, take a trip to the unknown with the spine-chilling Hatman to the psychedelic realm of demonic jesters. You'll get 20 obscure and tantalizing chapters. No other book gives you the feeling of pure vindication towards your childhood fear of clowns. Each paragraph brings the wonder of Christ's sacrifice into your home. For this commercialized nonsense holiday, there's no greater gift for your family than a guide to effective spiritual warfare. Order now and get that edgelord of a teenage child of yours to Christ this winter. Sometimes in this little season, it takes clowns to get them there. To get your copy, do not call the number on screen, which is being used as a placeholder reminder of a bygone time, and don't send a check to any PO box because this is not the 90s anymore. Simply type in The Nephilim Look Like Clowns on Amazon to get your copy just in time to lock yourself away from the world and wait out the pagan festivities.